Good afternoon and welcome to the regular briefing session of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. We have a few minutes to go. Don Martin is our vice chairman. He knows how to handle this very well, so we'll turn the meeting over to Vice Chairman Don Martin.
Thank you. We're a minute and 20 seconds early. I just want you to know.
Well, it'll be midnight after a while.
Let me just stop by. Trying to be efficient. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we are ready to begin. We're going to review the items for the August 4th, 2022, excuse me. We're going to review the items for the August 25th, 2022 meeting. And I think we actually have one discussion item. Well, let me back up. A couple of announcements that I need to mention. Basically, we have this is the first briefing on August 25th. We're going to be off next week because we're not going to be meeting at all. We'll have our second briefing on August the 18th for the August 25th meeting. We do have one discussion item. We have a Utility Commission update from Courtney Driver. Thank you for being here, Courtney. You've probably been here a little while. Thank you for being here, and we are pleased to have your update.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the not the Utility Commission, the County Commission. I'm used to saying Utility Commission. I'll try to keep this brief because I know you've had a long meeting. I appreciate the time this afternoon to give my normal biannual update. First, I'll start with an overview about who we are, just for the audience. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utilities is a joint agency between the city and the county, with members appointed by both the Winston-Salem City Council and county commissioners. And we have 6 divisions with administration, water treatment, wastewater treatment, solid waste, field operations, and meter services. We were formed by the merger of the city and county water and sewer systems in 1976, and then solid waste disposal was added in 1990. And we are an enterprise fund, which means we're not funded by local taxes. We are funded by the water and sewer fees that our customer pays and tipping fees predominantly at the landfill. So we're in our new budget year, so I'll just do a real high-level overview of how we ended, or what our budget looks like for this fiscal year. This little thing is in my way, so let me move it. So overall, we've had a challenging budget year, as I'm sure the county did as well, with seeing increased prices. We were looking just right at a 4.6% increase for all water and sewer operations. Personnel and supplies and services, of course, is our highest increase. And we're still having to monitor that. Some of our chemical costs are more than doubling, and vendors will not hold prices for longer than 6 months. So it's a very volatile market. Our water and wastewater CIP, which is our capital improvement program, the budget year appropriations that we requested and were approved for this year was $42 million, with an overall planning window over the next 6 years of just shy of $313 million for capital projects. The rate recommendations, overall, we needed a 4.5% revenue increase, which equated to around a 3% water rate increase and a 6% wastewater rate increase, which was around a $1.21 monthly bill increase for our average customer. This is how we compare to other utilities within the state. We still have affordable rates and are among the lowest in the state. Right now, with the new increase in 2023, our average bill is around $55 a month for our water and sewer, the combined water and sewer customer. Now switching on the solid waste disposal side, the overall operations budget increased slightly below 6%. Again, personnel and supplies and services were our biggest increase. Also, we have NCMLC payments, which is our capital outlay. The landfill requires some very expensive pieces of equipment. One of the pieces that we just had to purchase was a compactor, which a new one can be over $1 million. So they're very, very expensive. And for the capital improvement program on the solid waste side, the budget year request, which was approved, was 17.4 million, with an overall planning window over the next 6 years of around $39 million for capital improvements on the solid waste side. For as far as revenue and rate increases, we projected around a 3% increase in revenue for solid waste, and this is driven primarily by tonnage projections and a rate increase. We did get approval for $1 per ton increase in our discount rate at Haynes and a $1 per ton increase in our rate at the yard waste facilities. This was supported by our cost of service study. This is the comparison of the solid waste facilities with other facilities across the state. Comparing solid waste facilities is a little bit more difficult than water and sewer because how they're operated and the functions of those different facilities. But it's broken down between publicly owned landfills, public transfer facilities, and then privately owned landfills. And you can see, again, our rates are very affordable and low compared to other facilities. So capital improvement projects, as I mentioned earlier, we do spend a lot of money on capital projects, so I won't go into every project we have. We'd be here all day, and I know you don't want to do that. But I'll mention two that I think may be of interest to you. Highway 65 Waterline Extension Project. The map on the screen shows that we are sending water in the northern part of the county along Highway 65. And just a summary of this project. So Forsyth County had applied for a community development block grant to extend water along Highway 65, which you're aware. And we've partnered together, the Forsyth County and utilities. We are going to administer the project with the understanding that the water line will be conveyed to the city of Winston-Salem for ownership and maintenance once complete. So in lieu of that grant, the city of Winston-Salem received $3.1 million to fund this project through North Carolina's American Rescue Plan Act funds. What we've done so far is we have selected a design engineer, Hazen and Sawyer, who are going to start design, bidding, and construction administration services for us. An agreement was approved by the Utility Commission at the July meeting, so that's moving forward. And then we are working with Forsyth County staff to fine-tune an interlocal agreement between the Utility Commission and the county before we issue the construction contract. The next project I'll mention is an MSC berm project at Haynes Mill landfill. So MSC stands for Mechanically Stabilized Earthen Berm. There's a picture of it on the screen. Basically, it's a wall that provides us additional capacity. It will allow us to place existing waste in the current footprint of the landfill. It's expected to extend the life of the landfill approximately 7 years, and it helps to maintain low waste disposal costs for the community. The berm will not have an impact on neighboring properties. It will not increase the ultimate height of the landfill. It will not expand the landfill on adjacent properties. As I mentioned, it stays within the existing footprint. And it will not change operating practices that we currently are doing right now. It does, however, require site plan amendment from the City County Planning Department, which we're in that process with them right now. We had a neighborhood meeting on July 14th, and it's on the August 11th Planning Board agenda for approval. And if it's approved by the Planning Board, then the next step would go to the City Council for approval in September. I wanted to briefly mention private versus public lift station policy. I know that that's been a discussion that you've had with my staff in the past and myself. And so right now what we are doing, we're benchmarking ourselves with other water and wastewater utilities in the state to see what they're doing to serve areas that are currently unserved by sewer and taking on new public lift stations. We have drafted a policy for review by key stakeholders. So we mentioned, the staff mentioned this at the last developer forum and asked any developers who were interested in reviewing the draft of this policy for their inputs. And we had some that were interested, so we'll share that with those developers that showed interest. And we plan to discuss this with the Planning and Policy Committee of the Utility Commission probably sometime in September. And then once the Planning and Policy Committee feels comfortable with it, they'll recommend moving it forward to the full Utility Commission for approval. And then my last slide is just an update on the Outside County Economic Development Fund. This is a fund that the funds are derived from the sale of water and sewer service outside Forsyth County. The balance as of June 30th was around $3.5 million. There was $146,507.20 added to it during FY22. So the balance as of June 30th, 2022 is $3,696,036.15. And I hope I didn't talk too fast. I was just trying to be brief.
That's a good report.
Okay. Any questions?
I have one, but it's not related to the report. That's you always do a good report, so this would be a simple question.
Okay.
You ought to be able to answer this one. Some years ago, before you could remember, there was this person that was the planning director, and his name was Jack Donnelly. But now, what he talked about a lot in utility commission, they have not necessarily work hand in hand, but work together to some degree. And he had this term of urban services district. It was sort of I can't remember whether it was an imaginary line or not, but from Rural Hall on going down 66 through Walkertown, Kernersville, and all the way to where current 311 is now on the east side, northeast side of the whole county, is pretty much fall line. To the west, I can't remember what his boundaries were, but his assessment at the time, and it probably wasn't only his, it was others too, that urban services district ought to go just pretty much follow that. I'm not sure whether he envisioned where we are today, but water is one thing and sewer is another. Water will enhance development and sewer will explode it. And my question is, does the commission have any boundaries that they think that sewer in particular needs to go to? Or is that the whole county? Is that the boundary?
So I would say that we are working closely with Chris and his staff. He's not here anymore, but pointing for him. So really we try, and we've done this for many years, try to stay within the guidelines of their legacy plans and where they want to see development. And so it's not that we, if there's the need and water or sewer services available, then of course that we'll provide that. But we're not looking for areas necessarily that need some sewer in the extremities of the county. That's why we want to be very careful when we develop this lift station policy, because we don't just want it to be just wherever. There's got to be some rhyme and reason to development that occurs. So again, work closely with the planning department and to figure out where's the best area to provide sewer. Does that answer your question?
I guess somewhat. Today was just the zoning matters that we talked about. It was just a highlight of what I see in the future. And I can remember the Clemens West. When I was 18 years old, I'd done a lot of things, but I worked for George Sparks Construction for a while. And he sent me over there one day, and you know what that place was then? It was a farm he sent me over there to do some work. And I went and done what he said do. Well, I wouldn't, all I was thinking about just working, making a few dollars, and one couldn't have imagined then what's there now. And the only reason that they can conceivably put as much housing there as being requested is because of sewer. So I'm not necessarily against development, but if we're going to allow it to go all over the county, everybody needs to get ready for the exploded traffic, and it might that might even keep people from coming, but I doubt it. But I think it needs to be some. I guess this would be counter to what the economic development specialists think, but it's just if you did have sewer over a really big part of the county, the roadways they're not going to handle it. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm just wondering if we had some boundaries other than the county line boundaries.
Yeah, well, I went back to this map, and it's very high level, but you can see for Forsyth County, the green and black dash line is kind of the limits of our sewer. The blue and black dash line is the limit of our water system right now. So you can see where kind of our limits are. It's harder to serve sewer in that upper northwest corner of the county because it is a ridge line. So everything has to be pumped back. So we definitely want to work hand in hand with the planning department, with our elected officials to serve areas that make sense. The subdivisions that came up, if it's recommended for approval, then definitely I think that would be one that would fall under the new policy that we've drafted, where we would probably want to take over the utilities for that site because there's so many homes in that area. So I think it would fall under the new policy that we're looking to get approved.
Thank you.
Maybe just a follow-up to Commissioner Linville's question is that it seems this policy is going to have to get at to proximity to either existing sewers or what he was getting at, sewers that could be in the areas that sewer could be delivered in the future. So it seems like you can't avoid a little bit of, just like that map you have before us right now, it would certainly suggest in the green area that is at least it's not practical to expand into that area.
Right.
So any policy would certainly, it's kind of a catch-22, a little chicken and egg, because you can't, if something could expand, then a builder knows they could attach in the future. So I think it makes some sense to, in that policy, even talk about, here's kind of our coverage, anything within this area, if there's an existing line that can be connected to, and there's a way to do that, then here are the conditions for building that the developer does that makes it possible, makes it likely that homeowners are going to be protected when they buy houses in these subdivisions or in other areas. Because that's the whole issue, I think, is making sure that people are not surprised 20 years after they buy a house and, now it's an assessment of 10 grand to kind of get your sewer stuff taken care of. So
no, you're absolutely right.
All about that. And in that vein, did you discuss when you're going to go to your planning and policy committee, and then and I may not have heard you correctly, you're then going to just take it to adopt, will that be shared when you got that with the city and the county both? Once you get that policy done, because in a way, the city doesn't follow anything exactly like this either. If I understood that back in the questions that were asked previously didn't seem to suggest the city had any kind of rules about that either.
Right, correct.
So it seems that might be something worthy of discussion both at the city and the county level once you all have a draft policy.
Correct. Yeah, I can definitely bring, you're saying you want to see it before it's approved by the utility commission, or just that you want to know what gets approved by the utility
Well,
commission?
it would, well, I guess the question maybe is who's in charge here? And is it the city of Winston-Salem because you all report to them? Is it the two of us, or is it the utility commission itself?
It's the utility commission itself that the agreement grants the authority to adopt policies.
Then I suspect seeing it before you adopt it would be just helpful.
Okay.
I mean, just to, 'cause we kind of brought it up. As
Well, I
an
mean,
issue.
it's like you were considered a key stakeholder, so we can absolutely share that information with you.
Yeah, I think that would make a difference. How is your in hiring employees? What kind of vacancy rate are you all experiencing?
We have 73 vacancies out of 390 positions, so we're right at 20%. It's a constant
A lot.
struggle. Yeah.
A lot. And last little question I have, you've given us, I know you're doing this metering project that eliminates kind of the electronic metering deal. How's that project coming? Because it's a huge project, and I think I've asked that each time. So
Yeah.
how's it coming?
It's coming along well. However, there are some supply chain issues. No surprise there, but we have installed. I can't remember off the top of my head how many we have installed, but we're trying to stay on schedule as best we can. It's still, a 3 to 4 year project. We're probably a year into installation, maybe over a year and a half. So it is moving right along. But
On schedule or off schedule?
I would say it's probably slightly behind schedule because of the supply chain issues, but not as far behind as what you would think.
Any other questions for Courtney?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I got this right this time. Unless there's a reason to have a particular item here for a discussion, I think all of us can read this thing, and we're all breaking next week. So maybe we just take it home and read it and not have to go over each item this afternoon for the briefing and do it in 2 weeks.
You're here,
And if I can make that in the form of motion, I would.
and I would second.
Well, we don't take action at this meeting,
But I
but
don't
I
know if
say
there's
if we
an
would
item
like
that
to,
needs to
if
be
we would like to
discussed.
wait.
Let's ask that question first, if there's
I
something
think,
that we need
perhaps
to
maybe a
know.
question to the manager that
Right.
says,
Yes, please.
is there something that?
Here's
yes,
a
we can
high-level
read.
review, okay? There are
addition to
20
reading.
items on the agenda, and there are no public hearings, and the Idols Road, 21, because we're going to bring the Idols Road decision point back to you, and that is my high-level review for today.
My thinking is we can go be here at 6 o'clock.
We do have Commissioner Wisenhunt, there's one item that is not on our list that she had suggested that we bring forward based on some NACO information, and I think you have in front of you a draft resolution.
I have not seen the resolution.
Okay, it's Operation
Is it
Greenlight Prevent, there you go.
Okay, I did not see it.
It was somewhere there.
Well, anyway, this is an initiative from NACO, and it's a resolution to support Operation Greenlight for veterans. And it would start this coming Veterans Day on November 7th, and it would last through the 13th. They are asking government facilities, businesses, homes to put green lights out to honor our veterans, which I think is a wonderful thing. We have ignored veterans right often. There's a resolution that if we would like to participate, we can pass the resolution. NACO is working with a supplier that they really don't want to name it right now to provide green lights. NCACC is also working with a supplier to try and get donated green lights. And so it's a work in progress, but if we would like to participate, we can pass the resolution. And it is a national initiative, and I very much would like to see us participate And they would like for our government buildings to be lit up in green. And I just think it would be a great tribute to our veterans.
You're a veteran.
I figured November 11th.
I'm a veteran. Are you a veteran?
It's the 9th through the 13th. It's more than one day.
Yes, right over Veterans Day. Well, why not? But I move we adjourn.
Well, do you want to
Well,
do
I want to
this?
have some discussion with Gloria, if I may.
Oh,
We won't be here next week.
Please.
Thank you. Gloria, thank you so very much for that initiative, and that's definitely something that I would love to support alongside you. In addition to that, could we possibly ask the city to participate in the green lighting as well?
I think so. In fact, I mentioned to Dudley, I made the mistake of saying the Reynolds Building, which is the Kempton, but I think that would be very nice.
Thank
We
you.
could probably ask the Creative Coalition Group to also make those bridges green as well. And I'll be glad to submit that to them as a suggestion. Put a little green across the highways there.
I think that's a great idea, too.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. County Manager?
well, we do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Kaplan and a second by Commissioner Tanya Donaldson. McDaniel. Who is?
No.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Mr. County Manager? Are you all right with that?
We're ready.
All in favor of Commissioner Kaplan's suggestion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.